Alright everybody, what we have here is my next project. This here's a lawnmower. Engine, I just pulled off the body. We're just going to do a visual inspection of it. This is what it is. This cover on it is really loose, so there's two screws holding it together. There was one right there, there's another one right there. Looks like it needs a gas cap. And the oil cap is still on there. Looks like it's still got the spark plug on it. Primer bulb. There's a primer bulb right there. Most certainly I will have to replace that. There's the carburetor right there. As you can see, it's dirty as hell because I just, this person who had it gave it to me for free. He probably did not want to look after it or did not want to fix it or whatever the hell's wrong with it. That there looks like it's homemade. This here, so whatever the function of this is, probably has to do with the key throttle. I don't see any serial numbers on here yet, but that probably means that it's underneath all the housing. The starter rewind cord is all dismantled and whatever. When you take off a lawnmower, this one in particular has only 3 housing screws that fix onto the body. Only 3 of them. Some have 4, some have whatever. This here comes off, which is also attached to it. There's one screw here, another screw there. The blade comes off. This here would be the blade part. That's, I have that screw, I just forgot to bring it, so I have those screws too. And this is the underside of it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean this up and take that air cover, or the top cover off, and get a good look at it. And here we go. Okay, so I got the cover off. This is the oil cover. There's 3 screws on this one too. And the other cover is right there. I got that off. This rewind cord is naturally supposed to be that long. And I just thought, I haven't tried turning this yet because this is connected directly to the crankshaft. So that is what I am going to do right now. I'm going to try to crank that. And we're going to see if it spins. If it spins, that means there is nothing wrong with the cylinder, the piston, with anything. So here we go. If it was seized, I should not be able to turn this. As you can see, I am able to spin it. Now there are noises that I am hearing, gurgling noises. And if I'm hearing gurgling noises, that means there is oil still left in here. There's probably a little bit of gas or other liquids, so I'm going to need to be careful when I take this apart that I don't get oil everywhere. So now that I know that turns over, I'm going to take a wire brush and I'm going to scrub the fuck out of everything, spray it down, wipe it down. I'm going to take that cover off. I'm going to disassemble this part here. I'm going to take that off. Let's see here. What else can I take apart? I'm going to take that part off. I'm going to strip it down right down to this part, and this part here. And those springs, oh my gosh. With springs, you really have to freaking be careful. Because if you are not careful and you take a spring off and you don't know how it goes back on, it is game over before it even starts. So take a picture of the springs, make sure you know which hole is which, and then put it back together. So it's going to look just a little bit differently on the next video that I have. Here we go. Okay, as I was stripping this down, I noticed that there is some silicone preventing a leak, and that comes from this oil compartment. Oil goes into there, goes into here, and somebody has this gummed up with friggin' silicone. So what that tells me is there must have been a leak right here someplace, and I will have to look into that. There is a way to do it, and putting silicone around it like this is not the answer. I have the actual lubricants to put inside, so there's a definite connection. So I'm going to work on that now that I found it. So there's probably other things that I'm going to find that you guys are going to find too. So here we go. Serial numbers. I just found the serial numbers. They are right above this part here, along here. See that? I had to use my scrubber just to access those so I can find those. Briggs and Stratton will always have the model number and all that stuff right there. But when I was talking about this here, and just wiggle it a little bit, you can sort of see that it's loose there. It can't be loose like that, so I will fix that. I found the serial numbers, and I'm going to find out everything about the engine as a result of that serial number. And I just happen to have several books, so I just wanted to show everybody that. That's it. Alright, so I'm about to take out this flywheel part off. I had to use vice grips on both sides of these, this nut here, because I do not have a 7/8 nut, and that's exactly what this is, a 7/8 nut. I wanted to point out that there's writing on the armature right here. Make sure you read that so you don't put it upside down. So just going to do a general view of what the looks like after I clean it up somewhat. You're always going to see an arm like this with any Briggs & Stratton engine. You got to be careful of that, how the springs go together, and that's those springs I was talking about earlier. The carburetor. Oh, the carburetor. Carburetor is right here. This is what it looks like. So that's the intake, or this is the intake. This goes into the cylinder. The fuel goes into here. There's a hose that attaches to that. Those springs that I was talking about go into the top of this, and that's what lets the air in, out, when you press the brake on the lawnmower. As I was suspecting, this here oil filler was loose, and I got a bit of a spill right there, as you can see, and luckily I have rags to catch that. But yeah, this is like very loose. It comes out very easily. Gotta be careful of that. I'm about to work on that muffler next, taking that out. I just wanted to get this flywheel out, and then I'm gonna take this armature out. I'm gonna test that with my multimeter. Once I get that out, I'm gonna get this assembly here off, and then see how it looks once those pieces are off. So that will be it for now. Okay, so I got the flywheel off. I went to Canadian Tire and I bought this jaw gear puller. It's a long arm one, and it just popped right off. But yeah, the key is right there. You definitely do not want to lose that frickin' key. I took out the armature. This is what it looks like once you get that flywheel off. I went and got some cleaning product, some brake cleaner, and I went and sprayed the fuck out of all that, got all the grease and shit off there. So this is what it looks like when you get the flywheel off. There's not much else to show, but I'm going to take this part off here, that one nut, and then this here, and then I'm going to take this out and drain the oil out of here into a container. So I'll be working on that right now. Alright, so we got the engine here stripped down to its main component, the engine. All I need to do next is pull this part off here, which is the pulley for the drive belt, which hooks to the lawnmower, the gear, the wheels, the whatever, the water. I've had so much to drink right now I can't even think straight, but what I do know is that in order to get this part off, you need this gear puller. And then this is not actually how it's supposed to look. This is how it looks when it is the right way. So this is the right way up, but when we take it apart, we gotta take it apart this way, and I gotta pull that off. The oil has been drained out of this. Where's the freaking oil? Oh shit, it's right there. It's been drained out. It's now clean inside. We're just going to do a quick pan of everything, what it looks like here, just so you guys know. Okay, so I'm going to get this part off and then I'm going to continue with my video. Alright, so I'm about to pop this cover off. I just wanted to show everybody the bolts that are used to secure it down. They're all the same. Now this part here that came off of here, see that keyway? You see that keyway? Okay, that is that dimple right there. You see that dimple? It goes right into there and it needs to fit right and snug in there. Now I had a hard time getting this off of that part because I had to use the gear puller. I'm sure if you put some grease into there and snugged it up there, it'll go onto there nicely. But this is the part that fixes to the lawnmower blade, so it kind of needs to be really stuck and handling in there well. But it's kind of rusted in there right now. I'm just going to take this apart. I'm going to stand this camera up a little bit better so you guys can see what I'm doing. Alright, so if we look at this, I had two pins, one right there and one right there. And we're holding those in like to make it secure. So this is what it looks like on the inside. So you can see there's a little bit of oil there that I didn't totally get out. But now we're going to take off the cylinder head. And then we got that off. We're going to just flush it out and look at it inside and outside, and then we're just, I'm going to spin it for you. I'm going to spin it. So as you can see, if it spins like this, that means there is nothing really wrong with the inside of the engine. It spins freely. So there's probably not too much work that I'm going to need to do on the cylinder, but we're going to look at the inside of the cylinder to make sure that it's not scored, scratched, or anything. Because just because it goes up and down does not mean that it's not scored or scratched. It could be scored or scratched all the fucking hell, and it could be zero compression. And we're going to find that out. Alright, cylinder head versus bolts. So this is the cylinder head cover. This is the cylinder. So when you take a look at the cylinder, you can see there's some carbonation on the top of the piston. This here gasket needs to be there, so that I'm going to take an X-Acto knife and surgically remove it around there. This part here, believe it or not, I'm just gonna spray a whole bunch of Easy Off oven cleaner onto that, and it actually does work. Now when it comes to taking this off, it goes on just like that. The bolts in these keys need to be in a certain particular order, and this is the order that they go onto there. So this one here goes to this one. This one here goes to this one. So look at the holes. Now look at the bolts, the way that I got them laid out. Every single one of these bolts is exactly like the other. There's not one that is longer. There's not one that is shorter. They're all the same length, and therefore it doesn't matter if you mix them up. They all look the same. So having said that, now I can take these bolts and just throw them into a bath. And just like every other single bolt that I have, I put them into a container full of CLR and they soak. This is quite standard for me, not just to get the bolts unrusted, cleaned, whatever. Now I'm going to take that part of the cylinder head off, and I'm going to, actually, you know what, let's do it together. I'm just going to stand it up. Now I'm going to turn this. Here we go, I'm turning it. It's going down. Whoa. Okay, so this is bottom dead center. And, oh, that's stupid thing. Now when we look at that cylinder head, the inside, it looks very smooth. Alright. There's nothing that I need to do with the valves. Let's see how the valves work when I spin this thing. That valve comes up. That valve comes up. That's up. Up. Okay, so yeah, now we know the valves work. Now we know that works. I'm just going to clean the top of that off, and I'm going to make my own self-diagnosis about this entire thing. And I'm going to do that before the next video, and I'm going to be working on it right now. Here we go. Okay, so I just had something atrocious happen to me, and there's a gear that's supposed to be right there, and it's this one. And I turned this entire thing upside down just so I could get an idea of how it works when the lawnmower is actually running. Because when the lawnmower runs, this is how it looks, right? That's down, right? This is an L head cylinder, so that shaft points down. Now when I went and turned it down, this gear fell out, and I thought, oh, okay, we can just throw it in there, right? Just throw it in there just like that, right? And it'll go in there. And then I started tinkering with this. What the hell is wrong? Why is that not going in there? This here part of the gear is a keyway. That keyway fits into that slot. So this has to go like that. It goes into there. And that keyway needs to fit there nice and snug, so it's in. So you gotta put your finger on this part here, make sure that it lines up and goes into that. And then that gear would be in there. And then it's gonna turn. So I just learned something like within a few seconds ago. So now that I had done that, my initial diagnosis of this cylinder head is that I'm not going to take out the piston, I'm not going to take out the shafts, I'm not going to take out the crankcase, I'm not going to do anything with this, because it seems to me that there is nothing wrong with the cylinder or any of the internal components. This is just perfect running machine. It's just got to be cleaned up. Now I want to show you guys something else. You see along here where there's a little bit of a band, remember those pins I was talking about? This is the joining surface of this here part, this cover, and it's stripped. It's like pieces of it. So I got to shave this off with a plastic razor blade and then replace it. Now instead of me going and ordering an actual part for that, what I can do is I can actually trace out my own gasket to prevent that oil leak. It's just to prevent the oil leak from the two surfaces here. This goes into and there to prevent the oil leak from two metal surfaces. I have a gasket material that I can trace, and you can buy that gasket material at any hardware store or automotive shop. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make my own material with these holes and then put it on there, and then put this entire thing back together and clean it as I go. So that will be, I'll show you guys in a few minutes how that gasket is going to look. And that's it for now.